thank you for making the sacrifice for us. Pray now that you forgive me of my sin, cleanse me from unrighteousness, stand in and speak through me. The words of my mouth, meditation of my heart, be acceptable in thy sight. O Lord, my strength and my redeemer. In Jesus' name. Amen. 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 To preachers, Chamberlain, Taylor Gibson, and also to Brian Hill, to all of you, Mount Olive family, friends. It's good to be here. Amen. It's good to be able to worship publicly. The day is coming when like laws are going to be in place that persecute people who attempt to worship. You'll be arrested. That's where we're headed. The church will be raptured. I don't plan to be here. That's right. That's right. Just so you all are here, you know what's going on. Amen. Just I know you're not. Y'all going with me. Amen. Absolutely. Yes. I want to remind you, I said last week, and I've said from time to time, years ago, Barbara, when someone said, it was hot in here. He said, there is a place hot in here. We're getting this air conditioning on this side, I think, is giving us problems again. So we're trying to, it's cool, but it's not like it's cool. So we're just trying to get that straight now. So there is a place hotter than this. So it'll be all right. We'll look at Isaiah 43, 1 and 2. Isaiah 43, 1 and 2. Isaiah 43, 1 and 2. But now thus saith the Lord that created thee, O Jacob, and he that formed thee, O Israel, fear not, for I have redeemed thee. I have called thee by thy name. Thou art mine. Okay. When thou passest through the waters, I'll be with thee. Okay. And through the rivers, they shall not overflow thee. Okay. And thou walkest through the fire, thou shalt not be burned. Neither shall the flame kindle upon thee. We talk about God's word will help us make it through. God's word will help us make it through. I'm glad today that I'm comforted over and over again and again by what is written in God's word. So many passages of scripture provide solace in my times of agony and distress. In both the Old and the New Testaments, God sprinkles here and there words of comfort, words of consolation, words of encouragement, to lift our spirits and to raise our bowed down heads. So I'm greatly comforted, greatly encouraged by the words of our text this morning. I'm convinced that God leaves on record words of consolation for those of us who are endeavoring to go through. The Word of God is clear, and we can receive so much from it, and every time we read it, find new nuggets that we can apply to our life and then share with others. When we read the report brought to us by Isaiah in the 43rd chapter, we can't help but to know that God wants to get a message across to his people. It's a word for those who are going through. God realizes that his people from time to time need an encouraging word. Notice that this word was delivered to a people who were God's own. In fact, the first verse of the 43rd chapter, it closes out with these words, thou art mine. from a contextual standpoint, he's talking to the children of Israel.
Yes,
All right.
Yes, sir.
But there are principles for us to live by today.
All right.
And even though we are his children,
Yeah.
the best of us grow weary. The strongest of us at times will grow weak.
Yeah.
And we stand periodically, in some cases more than others, in the need of a word that speaks specifically to our need.
That's right, sir.
There's somebody here today that's come to hear a word that speaks to their particular need.
Wow.
Right.
You're just wondering how you're going to make it through.
Yeah.
Life appears to have incarcerated you, and you feel there's no way out. You're in a season of suffering. You're dealing with the dilemma of debt. You're up all night worrying about how you're going to make it through. You just got the news that the spot they found from your test is malignant. Your spouse has confessed to you that they've been unfaithful. Your children have taken you for granted. Your job is closing its doors due to the pandemic. You feel like your emotions have been vandalized by satanic vandals. And here you are waiting for a word.
Well,
A word that applies to your situation.
Okay.
Hoping that it'll give you the wherewithal to make it through.
That's right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Isaiah is the writer of our text. He was married and a father, and appears to have been a resident of Jerusalem. History says he was a martyr, that he was sawed in two alive by a wooden saw during the reign of Manasseh, king of Judah.
Okay.
He was the son of Amos, but the Bible says nothing more of him. Jewish tradition says that Amos was the brother of Amaziah, one of the kings of Judah, putting Isaiah into the royal family. The book of Isaiah is known as a miniature Bible.
Yes, sir.
It has 66 books and is divided into two sections. 39 books in the first section and 27 books in the second section. Just as the Old and New Testament are divided with the same numerical separation. The theme of the book is the Lord is salvation. So here in our text, Isaiah invites us to gather around to get a first-hand look at what God says about those who are going through. Verse 1 says, "But now thus saith the Lord that created thee, O Jacob, and he that formed thee, O Israel, fear not. For I have redeemed thee. I have called thee by thy name. Thou art mine." Really, when you look at chapter 43 of Isaiah, you'll notice that there's a continuation from chapter 42. Because chapter 43 opens with the conjunction "but," meaning that there's already a train of thought in progress. It is continuing to say something that already started in chapter 42. He reminded the people that they had totally neglected to obey God's instructions. They were deaf and refused to hear, blind and refused to see, and simply defied God. Their punishment meant that they would have to go through some things.
Yeah.
They would have to deal with the consequences of their disobedience.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then God says, "But now I made you, I formed you, fear not." Ours is a day of fear-mongering. Fear has made a lot of people rich. The fear of a terrorist attack. The fear of viruses. The fear of our vote not counting. The fear of Donald Trump getting a second term. The fear of violence in the streets keeps our minds captive and our spirits bound when we venture out. We're afraid of each other. We fear our children. We fear our employers. But the word says, fear not. Therefore, we need to fear no power, no sickness or circumstance or condition, no person, black or white, nothing present or nothing to come. He goes on to say, I formed you. I redeemed you. I called you by your name. You're mine. And this leads us to our first thought, and that is the Lord's love for his people is inexhaustible.
Yes.
When it says, I formed you, the Hebrew translation literally means he molded us, He squeezed us and put us into the form that he wanted us to be.
That's right. That's right.
The psalmist says, I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. Yes, he formed man from the dust of the earth, breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and he became a living soul.
Yes.
He gave me 206 bones, 600 muscles, 970 miles of blood vessels, 32 feet of intestine, 32 teeth, a heart that beats 72 times a minute, and a hand with 27 bones.
Yeah.
He gave me eyes that can take pictures like a camera and sends them to a brain to be developed. He gave me a tongue that can sort sweets from sours. He gave me ears that can pick up on high and low sound. He didn't just throw me together. He did so fearfully and wonderfully.
Yes, sir.
He formed me. Not only did he form me, but he called me by my name.
Yes, sir.
He doesn't give me a general call. He'll call you by your name, which suggests an intimate relationship with him. And then he inserts divine ownership when he says, thou art mine. Just like the children of Israel, we've messed up. We've sinned. We've been deaf to his word, blind to his way. But because he has an inexhaustible love, he declares, you're mine. He's saying, I know you messed up. I know you lied. I know you cheated. I know you stole. You and I both know that you ain't no good. But you're mine. Oh, I saw you. You didn't see me, but I was there. You forgot that I'm not present. I've seen every transaction you made in the dark. I've seen every crooked deal you made in your life. I know what you did. I know who you are. And I know what you're doing now and what you want to do, but you are mine. I formed you. I redeemed you. I know your name. I know your thoughts from afar off. I know all the dirt that you still do. And I claim you. You belong to me both by creation and redemption. I realize you're too weak to make it yourself. So I've got to impose my sovereign ownership on you. Not only is the Lord's love for his people inexhaustible, but secondly, life's problems are inevitable. Someone may be wondering, now where is that in the text, Pastor? As we look at verse 2, it starts off with the word when.
Help us, God. Help us.
When thou passest through.
Yeah.
He doesn't say if you go through the flood.
Right. Yeah.
If you go through the flood. If you go through the fire. But when. This lets us know that life's problems are inevitable.
Yeah.
So don't be surprised at some of the stuff and the unrest that we're experiencing. But you know the world is going mad because it won't turn to Christ. So chaos and discontent will always be the order of the day at the slightest agitation.
Yes, sir.
And then, of course, you know, as believers, the issues we face are what I call occupational hazards of being a soldier of the cross. In this world, we're going to have trouble and tribulation. We're going to experience trials. And just because we have trouble doesn't necessarily mean we've done something wrong. Job had trouble. And he was a righteous man. He shunned evil, but trouble came by one day and disturbed him in a way that most of us probably wouldn't have been able to withstand. James said, my brethren, count it all joy when ye fall into divers temptations, knowing this, that the trying of your faith worketh patience. The waters, the rivers, and the fire are proverbial phrases that deal with the perils in their most extreme state. We're seeing the devastating effect of flooding all around us. Michigan recently had to deal with terrible flooding and had to declare a state of emergency. And perhaps this upcoming summer, wildfires will kick up in various places throughout the country. But many writers referring to this text point to the crossing of the Red Sea, the crossing of the Jordan at its most dangerous time. The fire is a reference to the 3 Hebrew boys in the fiery furnace. Psalm 138:7 says, though I walk in the midst of trouble, thou wilt revive me. Thou shalt stretch forth thy hand against the wrath of mine enemies, and thy right hand shall save me. And maybe someone here thinks they're drowning in their troubles. The river of life is flowing boisterously, or the heat from the fire is causing discomfort. Remember, he told us earlier, fear not.
Fear not, yeah.
Someone else asked, well, why should we not fear? This leads us to our third thought, and that is, the Lord's presence is indisputable.
Yeah.
It says again in verse 2, when thou passest through the water, I will be with thee.
Yeah.
Nothing is said of the people's awareness of God's presence. But when we go through, we have the promise of his presence. He didn't promise that we wouldn't go through. But he does say, you don't have to go through by yourself. I will be with thee. And listen, somebody said that God's I will is a check that'll cash anyway.
Yeah. Yes, it will.
And I will from God is a check that'll never bounce.
Yes, sir.
And somebody here today that knows something about the I wills of God. He says, I will never leave you nor forsake you. I will be with you always. I will have mercy. I will love you with an everlasting love. I will heal thee.
Yes, sir.
I will strengthen thee.
Yeah.
I will uphold thee with the right hand of my righteousness.
Yeah.
Thank God for his I will. David captures the theme of his presence in the 23rd Psalm. When he says, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, thou art with me.
Yeah.
The indisputable presence of God is expressed in his I will.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to be a millionaire to be in his presence.
Well.
You don't have to live in a house on the hill or drive a fancy car to have his presence. His presence is not predicated on what you have, but who you are.
Yes, sir.
And his presence is not limited to those who have favorable circumstances. You can be homeless and have his presence. You can be bankrupt and have his presence. You can be unemployed and have his presence.
Yeah.
You can be foreclosed upon and have his presence.
Yeah.
You can be sick in your body, racked with pain, and have his presence. You can even have the coronavirus and still have his presence. He says, I'll be with thee. The waters won't drown you. The rivers won't drown you. Some of the stuff we get in sometimes may be too deep, but it won't overflow. It may get hot, but it won't burn you. Some of the stuff we've been in many times are some hot situations and circumstances, but we got through it. Why? Because of the benefit of the presence of the Lord.
Yeah.
He takes us through. And there's some stuff that had the potential to destroy you, but you came out unharmed because he took you through. Psalmist declared in Psalm 114 that it was at the Lord's presence that the sea fled. It was at his presence that the Jordan was driven back. And at his presence that the mountains skipped like rams.
Yeah.
His presence is so awesome. His presence is so indisputable that the earth trembles. And maybe someone saying to themselves, okay, Pastor, I understand the Lord's love for his people is inexhaustible. I understand. I understand that life problems are inevitable. I get that. And I can appreciate that the Lord's presence is indisputable. But it looks like every time I try to go through, Satan tries to block my way. And I can't seem to get through. It looks like Satan blocks my every move. I turn to the left. It looks like he's there. I turn to the right and look like he's there. I look around and there he is blocking my every move. It looks like he's trying to hem me in. And so I can't move. I just want to encourage you today with a story about Bobby Fischer, a great champion of chess, who was in Europe on vacation. Went to a museum and saw a picture of a unique chess game. He looked on the picture and Satan was on one side, the chessboard with a smirky look on his face. On the other side was a picture of a young man with tears in his eyes. Sweat was pouring from his head. He was nervously biting his fingers. For 6 hours, Bobby Fischer studied the chess game. Satan had reached out his hand to make the last move. The title of the picture was named Checkmate. The young man was crying because he thought it was checkmate. He was sweating because he thought it was all over. Satan was smirking because he knew he had it. But Fischer said, young man, I know you're just a picture. You're just a picture in a frame, and I wish you could hear me.
Well.
I've got news for you, young man. It's not as bad as it looks. It's not as dreary as it looks. I wish I could just take you and shake you and bring you to life so you could hear me for 6 hours. I've studied the game. I've analyzed every move and every counter move that's been made. Let Satan go on and make that move, because I've discovered there's one more move on the board. You need to know today that God is on your side, and that God and Satan have been in a chess game with the human race for a long time. God moved and created Adam and Eve. Satan counter moved and caused Adam to sin. God moved and created Cain and Abel. Satan counter moved and caused Cain to kill Abel. Then God moved and created Seth. Satan counter moved and caused the sons of God to intermarry with the daughters of men. God knocked on Noah's door and said, Noah, it's going to rain. Then Satan counter moved and raised up a man by the name of Nimrod, who tried to build a tower to the heavens. Then God would not be outdone. He sent the prophets to tell the truth. Then Satan counter moved and sent idolatry in the land. And between the Old and New Testament, there were 400 years where there was a move and a counter move between God and Satan. 400 years. Nobody could see who was winning the game. 400 years, it looked like it was a standoff between God and Satan. 400 years, and there appeared to be no apparent winner. And the draw would have caused man to remain in a state of sin and spend eternity in a burning hell. And as a people, we know something about 400 years, but that's for another sermon. But in the fullness of time, God moved again. Sent forth his son, made of a woman, made under the law. And Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea. He healed the sick. He raised the dead. He fed the hungry. He calmed the storm. He walked on the sea. He opened blinded eyes. He straightened out withered hands. But Satan counter-moved. And one Friday, Satan put Jesus on the cross. And hell had a party. Somebody said, hell, why are you so happy? Satan said, checkmate. It's all over. He's dead and in the grave. Checkmate. Death has him all wrapped up, and the grave has him enclosed. Checkmate. He's blocked in and can't get out. Checkmate. I got him like I got Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Checkmate. I got him like I got Moses, David, Daniel, and the 3 Hebrew boys. Checkmate. I got him like I got Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Death took him out. Grave took him in. And the grave had been sealed with him from the inside. Checkmate. And I can hear God say, not so fast, Satan. I got one more. I got one more. I got one more. Satan forgot that God is omniscient. Satan forgot that all the moves he's going to make, God knew about before he was going to make them. And this lets us know that you better be careful when you miscalculate God's omniscience. You better be careful when you miscalculate God's sovereignty. You do know he can do what he wants, when he wants, how he wants it, in whatever manner he chooses. He thought he was fooling God, but with the moves he was making, but God already knew from before the foundation of the world what Satan was up to. That's why the Lamb, Jesus, was slain before the foundation of the world. In the mind of God, before man came on the scene in eternity past, it was already done for you and me. So God set up his last move. And God's last move took place early on Sunday morning. He got Jesus up from the grave with all power in his hand. Jesus stood alive, as my pastor says, on the lip of the grave. And declared, I got all power in my hand. Now that's what I call checkmate. That same power will help you make it through the storm and the night, through cancer, through sorrow, through pain and death, and through any kind of pandemic. He'll take your hand and lead you through. And as you're going through, you can say, precious Lord, take my hand, lead me on, let me stand. I'm tired, I'm weak and worn. Through the night. Lead me on to the light. Precious Lord, take my hand and lead me on. And then as he takes you through, you can say, when my way grows dim, precious Lord, linger near. When my life is almost gone, hear my cry, hear my call. Hold my hand, lest I fall. Precious Lord, take my hand, lead me on. His word will hold me up when I'm down. His word will see me through my trouble. His word will see me through my trials. His word will rock me in the midnight hour. Hold on to God's unchanging hand.
Yes, God will help you.
Won't he do it?
See you through. The doors of the church are open. If there is one here who has not accepted Christ as their personal Savior, now is the time. I keep saying this, John 3:16. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son. And I still like this part, that he did not exclude no one. Because he said, though whosoever believeth in him shall not perish, but have everlasting life. As we stand, is there one this morning? No, I was cutting grass yesterday. Around the evening, it got hot. And it got hot, turning. And I'm going like, well, at least I have a chance to do something. Went in the house, cooled off, got a bottle of water. Had a little fan on me. Because I was able to do something about it. But if you do not accept Christ as your personal Savior, and you die, you're on your way to hell. And guess what? You cannot do nothing about it. That's the bottom line. Do it on this side while you have a chance. We used to always have that saying, don't put off tomorrow for today for what you can do tomorrow, for tomorrow for what you can do today. The next second is not even promised to you. God is saying, I stand and knock at the door. Is there one this morning? There may be someone that's looking for a church home. And we all should have a home. Is there one, as we sing, come to Jesus? Is there one this morning? Once again, the gospel has been preached. Now, if you walk out of here, it's not the pastor's fault. He'll make your life brand new. He will take care of you.
Facebook Live, if you missed the announcement of Mount Olive members. Amen. You're not here today because we want to be safe and not catch the virus. So I don't expect to see you at the march. See, like my mom told me years ago when I was trying to play sick and didn't want to go to church when I was younger. So my mom's sick, I don't feel like I'm laying on the floor, put a little water on myself to make it look like I was sweating. Well, you better stay in the baby. Well, it happened to be a beautiful day that day. And I intended to play basketball. And the church was out, I'm trying to get my ball together because I felt it. She said, no, go back to bed, remember you're sick. So I'm saying to you, remember you're sick. Or try not to be sick. So you don't want to be around 600 or 800 people at the march today. Mount Olive members, amen. We didn't see you here, so we know you're going to be home. I'll call you if you need to, you call me, amen. And one last thing, y'all can stand on these marches. And we got to do them, but there are 6 other days to do it. I don't know why they choose Sunday to march. Shall we stand? I don't know why Sunday had to be the day. But Sunday is the day of worship. Even if you're Facebook Live or the Free Conference USA or at your actual church, Sunday's the day of worship. So we're going to do it. Let's do another day. Saturday's a good day. Thursday, any day but Sunday. Amen. I know that's going to get some hits, whatever. Vanessa back there? All right, Vanessa. That's number one song.
Yeah, I got number 1.
Okay. That's all right.
Next time you're riding down the road in your car, sing this to the Lord. You get ready to go much faster. Come.
worshiping you. Thanking you again for the privilege of worship that you have given to us and the freedom to worship. We pray now that you bless us as we depart from this place, that you give us traveling grace and arriving mercy to the various destinations we're going to. Now may the grace of the Lord Jesus Christ, the love of God, and the sweet communion of the Holy Spirit rest, rule, and abide with us now and forever. Shall we all say together, Amen. Amen.